Every time I ask a question, I end up with more questions.
Okay, it is 6:30, so we'll call to order the Tuesday, August 11th, 2026 work session. And we'll start off with Lieutenant McIver.
All right.
I was accused of calling him Sergeant last week,
That's
so
okay.
I'm in big trouble.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
no,
big no-no.
Yeah.
no worries here. No worries whatsoever. Nothing, again, which is good. I guess that my monthly reports are similar each time in that they don't have anything remarkable, happening. There aren't any spots. I'll let the councilman get comfortable. How are you, sir?
My apologies.
Oh, don't apologize to me. Nothing remarkable. Like I said, we're not seeing similar instances or crimes taking place throughout the city that would lead us to believe that we have like a theft ring or anything like that taking place. I will tell you from my own observations, and I don't know if you folks have seen the same, but I live just a couple miles outside of town down by the Speedway, so I do spend a lot of time coming into the Tenino from that Grand Mound side, and it seems that the 35 mile an hour posted speed zone there is believed to be more of a suggestion than an actual speed zone. So I hope that the word gets out rather quickly, because we have started, as of today, taking a pretty aggressive approach to stopping cars through there. In a couple hour period, we had everything from 5 over, 7 over, which isn't much that we're going to do on those. That's a pretty good grace speed that you can imagine. But we stopped a couple cars doing 30 over coming into town. So where we're kind of making that emphasis is at Briar, the new street there before you go out of town. There are a couple places to sit along the highway there that is city limits, but I'm also try to be a reasonable person, and that is, if you're coming into town and you hit the 35 mile an hour zone and you're still at the alpaca farm, it's kind of hard to understand the reason for that reduce in speed. And primarily that reduce in speed is to give you enough time to get down to that posted speed limit when you do enter the town or city limits. So we have kind of been making that emphasis at about the Briar Street, where there are now kids playing outside, there are residences and neighborhoods and whatsoever. So plenty of time for folks to slow down, and that's happening on the 507, Old 99 coming from the north, and Old 99 coming in from the west. So you're going to see an increase in traffic stops happening at those locations. I hear about it myself, but also I've been seeing it coming into town and people leaving town as well. They get around the corner there underneath the trestle, and it's kind of like, hey, I'm getting out of here, and the speeds are increasing. So I put all that out there to hope that it gets out to the folks that are living in town and the folks that come to visit, that we are an equal opportunity employer, and that means that when you start reaching a certain speed, we quit giving breaks, and we're going to start citing people. So hopefully that gets some speed down in the city of Tenino.
It's good. There's a lot of people coming out from their residents and stuff.
Yes.
there, too.
Yeah, and you know how it is. It's difficult at times in some of those locations to cut back vegetation or to get clear lines of sight around those corners. And when people are pulling out of driveways or cross streets or those neighborhoods, they expect, and as they should, people to be driving a certain speed. And when you're doubling the speed limit into an area like that, distances close rather quickly, and we don't want to see an increase in accidents in those locations. So other than that, that's about the one thing, and that could be attributed to a lot. And like I've stated before, during the summertime, we tend to see things happen more rapidly, right? So people are driving faster because it's nice outside for whatever reason, and an increase in traffic in general, because we don't have people in school and people are back from college and people have other breaks and vacations. So it seems like we have maybe an increase in traffic coming into town. It just seems busier probably to all of us. So other than that observation and some folks that have reached out to us about there seems to be a little bit heavier traffic in those specific locations, haven't had a whole lot of interaction with anybody saying, hey, we're seeing this quite a bit, or we're noticing this problem. And obviously I don't work every day, so I don't hear it as well. How did the sale go at the school? Did we have any issues there?
No.
Did that went off without a hitch?
Yeah, we were fine.
Okay, good. I know we were spending more time there. I don't want to speak too far out of turn, but I imagine I can kind of leak this information. As of last night, Deputy Nicole Smith submitted her paperwork for the SRO position.
Oh, good.
So she is normally the David Carr on Graveyard down here anyway, that works the Grand Mount Tenino area. So she lives just south into Lewis County. This is kind of like where she wants to be anyway. So I think it's not like somebody reluctantly signed up for the position and doesn't know anything about Tenino. She has spent a number of years in this geographical area. Prior to that, she was a police officer for Chehalis Tribal. So she's been down here for years. And she submitted her paperwork last night. I can't imagine that, barring anything weird, that she's going to pull that request and would be put into the Tenino School District here in September. Is it August still? September. Yeah. So that's a good thing. Somebody have a question? I thought I heard something. I'm sorry.
Continue, I'll ask you.
No, that was it. Go ahead, sir.
We had our Tenino officer, Yvonne Sneed, doing the SRO position, and Thurston County Sheriff's Office picked her up. My understanding she was going to be here. Has she decided not to return, or are these two officers in competition?
One of the unfortunate time frame issues is we do have collective bargaining, right, within our agency, and she's still on the FTO period. So as long as she's still being field trained and hasn't got off of her probation and passed the field training, those folks are not allowed to put in for specialty positions like the school resource officer. It just came down to a matter of timing, I guess. From what I understand, Yvonne was interested in the position, but she also expressed interest in learning how to do the general job as well. So I think it was kind of one of those, hey, if nobody else does, I'll help out if I need to. But I think she's also has an interest in learning how to be kind of a law enforcement officer in a bigger agency and getting her feet wet that way. So it wasn't that she didn't want to. I think there were just a couple of things that were going against her for the time being.
I see. And if she's increasing her knowledge and experience, more power to her. She will be missed. She was
Absolutely.
very much liked by the staff and the students, and she was very effective at the middle school. It's a tough gig. Let Nicole know.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think one thing that has to be reminded is just because somebody isn't assigned as the school resource officer, we will never stop them from coming and stopping into the schools. Well, we greatly encourage that for our deputies when they work in a district that has schools within them to stop by and talk to the kids and be present with faculty and whatnot. So there's a very good chance multiple times a week that she's going to be assigned to this district at whatever time slot she gets in anyway. So you're probably going to see her quite a bit as it is. And I know that Yvonne and Nicole have a good working relationship because they know each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see her down here quite a bit.
Very good. I had occasion to meet Nicole the other night.
Yeah.
I keep running into the sheriff's deputies at night when I'm walking.
When you're walking around. That's a good thing. That means we're down here. And I'll tell you, I'm super excited for Deputy Smith to be in the schools. She, as a supervisor, I get to show up to a lot of things and kind of stand back and watch how people interact. And she does a fantastic job with younger folks. And she has, several younger children of her own. So she gets how that works and is a good communicator with young folks, as well as I think she'll be able to mold well with the faculty. So I think you're getting a good one down here.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
I'll just pass on. I got another comment from a citizen saying they are seeing you in town and appreciated it. So you can pass that on to their people are appreciating seeing you in town and like doing traffic control. Somebody commented about that. So thank you.
Good, absolutely. Yeah. And then just in general for the month of July within the city, calls for service went down a few. We pulled roughly the same amount of case numbers. The primary things that we're dealing with down here are some minor fender benders and accidents. We continue to up our traffic stops, and like I said, you'll probably see that number increase even more, at least until the word gets out and we start seeing a decrease in speed in those areas. And, you know, like if you look at one of our statistics, area checks is one thing that we do when we come into town, like, hey, we're not really coming here to do anything, but we're just gonna drive around and check things. Those numbers have gone down slightly, and that's generally because it's the summertime, so the calls for service are increased, so deputies are caught up responding to calls and doing paperwork and whatnot. But those numbers are kind of staying relatively the same, so that's a good thing. It hasn't like there's been a big jump in law enforcement presence here for unneeded reasons, and there hasn't been a decrease in law enforcement presence here for the proactive approach that we're taking. So everything seems good. Nothing in my belief that is standing out for the city.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Are you still having interactions with young kids on electric bikes and motorcycles?
I have been having less interactions with those children after having some conversations. So I think maybe, you know, when they are out running around and nobody says anything, it is taken as kind of an approval that, hey, well, nobody's saying anything to us, so we must be okay to do what we're doing. And I know that a lot of the deputies down here, including myself, have run into the kids on their bikes. I understand for the most part, they're just trying to be kids and have a good time. It's summertime and have fun, but there are rules to be followed. And we have laid those rules out to almost all the ones we've come in contact to. And I will tell you, just everyone that I have talked to and heard from the deputies, kids are respectful. They say, oh, okay, we didn't know. We're not trying to cause a problem. We're just trying to ride our e-bikes. And since then, I haven't heard any complaints of what's been going on. So I think they realize that, all right, maybe we were getting a little bit out of hand, and if we just mind our P's and Q's, we can all live amicably during the summertime. So I haven't heard anything else.
I hope that's true, because them riding up and down the sidewalks downtown is very, very dangerous.
Absolutely.
People walking out of shops, out of the restaurants, yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
not going
Two
2
of my
miles an
friends
hour.
almost got hit on the
Yeah,
sidewalks.
I talked to several of the boys on those and said, hey, you know, you got to understand that, you know, people are going about their day-to-day business and don't expect, you know, these bikes, which are very fast, to come shooting by them. And you can understand where folks are coming from, that they're nervous about it. And they all said that they understood. So I'm hoping maybe they slow down a little bit and use better judgment on how they're riding them within the city. So far, it seems to be working. And we will stay on it. It has become a big enough point of interest and contention that everybody's aware that if they see somebody on one of those doing something, that we are going to be taking action now that the warnings are kind of over for them. Yeah.
I can attest to your observation. What I've seen from the kids recently is that change in behavior. They're very mindful of pedestrians walking down the Yelm Trail there. They'll just stop until the pedestrians walk by. So they've really changed behavior over, you know, doing wheelies down the street that they had been doing. So kudos to you and to the parents and to the kids themselves.
Yeah. Well, we'll make sure moving forward too, and we do see them, that we are hearing that they're doing a good job and give that reinforcement to them.
Please do.
That, hey, we want you to have fun out here and enjoy the town. It's a beautiful little city, and be respectful and keep doing what you're doing. And people are noticing that you're being respectful. And I think that can go a long ways too with the kids. Because obviously, if they're hearing us and they're listening, I want to make sure we're giving them their dues as well. That
Absolutely.
you know that they're doing what is asked of them and expected of them with themselves. So, yeah.
Great.
Yes,
Do you have a business card I could snag?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'm just a phone call away.
Can you hear me there on the mic? Waterworth, I got the sound on?
Thank you, sir.
I got you, actually got sound on our TV now, so hopefully this time.
Take one too.
Just one more minute, we'll be with you, so.
You want to just take it? Do you want to just take a picture of it?
Oh,
Take a
that's
picture.
what I'll do.
Yeah. Or I can take a picture.
Okay,
You
I
can
think
have
we're
it.
ready to get started. We have you on our TV, so hopefully
I'm a paper guy.
our council can hear
Okay.
you better. And you'll have to let us know with questions if you're hearing them, if they have questions. So go ahead and get started.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'll share my screen. Let me know if everybody can see that and hear me as well. Is that showing up on the screen?
Yeah, I think you're good. We can hear you and see you.
Awesome. Thanks, well. Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for having us again. I think this is our second time here at a council meeting. My name is Gabriel Borges. I'm joined by my colleague Mateus Alexandra. We are members of the client success team here at Waterworth, and we've been working with Dave and Nancy over the past few months on the water, wastewater, and general fund. I wanted to start with explaining a little bit what we do, in case there's any new faces within this meeting today. So, Waterworth is a software platform. We empower local governments like yourselves to achieve financial sustainability while balancing affordability. And we do that through, I just call it continuous revenue management. That means a couple things. The first one is that we have a live financial forecasting model that we've loaded with your financials through the work. Dave and Nancy, you can find it as we get new information. So we update that continuously. And two, we have sessions like these with elected officials to keep you informed continuously as we get that new information in order to make decisions that are as informed as possible continuously. So this allows us to have these presentations and allow us to reach full cost recovery not only for next year, but more at a longer term outlook. And we like to communicate these through the visual tool itself, which I'll show you. So if you have these packets printed out, feel free to call my name, say, hey, what's this on the page number? And I'll try my best to answer that and help you out. But I'll dive into the model here in order to show you the tool itself. And I wanted to start with the water fund itself. Now, ever since we last presented, there haven't been much changes on the water side, but I'll go over the tool itself, functionality, just to keep you updated on what we've done so far. So this model here, what we're looking at, we've got some colors and bars and graphs. This is the long-term financial forecast tool. What we have here in this graph, on the x-axis we have the years, on the y-axis we have the dollar amounts, and between 2023 and 2025, we've loaded your actuals in terms of operating expenses, capital expenses, revenues, any transfers in or out, and the cash position. Then for 2026, we have budgeted amounts, as well with the capital projects for that year. And then anything after that, we are working off of that forecast. So I want to break down how we're forecasting that through breaking down the model. So I'll start by focusing on the operating expenses here. This blue area graph here, these are the operating expenses. So like I mentioned, we have the actuals from 23 to 25, then the budget for 26. And we can see that 26 onwards, there is a linear increase. And that's because we've hard-coded an average of 3% inflation for these expenses, just to keep in mind that they are inflating over time. That's the first element of the expenses that we have. After that, we've got capital improvements. I'm slowly layering on all these elements in the model to make it as clear as possible. This green area graph here, these are capital projects, capital expenses historically and budgeted. So we see the spike in 2026 here. This corresponds to a few projects, such as the factory truck in 2026. We also see, though, that 2027 onwards, we have that similar increase as we have in the operating expenses. And this has to do because we've added a future capital reinvestment budget to this model. And that's at $80,000 with that 3% yearly increase. By adding that into the model, it allows us to have an idea of how our cash position interacts over time. We put aside any cash for future capital projects. Essentially, we're factoring in any similar spikes as we have seen here in 2026. So if, for example, in 29, we have a similar little mountain there, or in 2030, by having this $80,000 yearly increase budgeted in the model, we have an idea of how our cash position is behaving. So we've covered operating expenses and capital improvements. The next element that we have for the expenses are the transfers out. So this gray area here that stands out, this is the one-time transfer out into the general fund. That's a value of $1.05 million. And we don't have any transfers out forecasted whatsoever. That was just what happened in 24. And this covers the expenses in the water fund. So we can see that the expenses show up as these air graphs. The next element I want to focus on is the revenues, and I just want to isolate that. Any revenue will show up as a bar on the graph. And for the sake of this initial model that I'm on right now, this is the status quo model. So what this means is that we're just working off of the 2026 budget, and we're not doing any rate increases whatsoever. We do have those expenses inflating, but this is a scenario where we're doing no rate increases, a do-nothing scenario, all the way into 2033. So the revenues here, we've got sales service. This is just water charges. We have other categories in terms of revenue as well. Other operating revenue, we've got developer contributions, and we've got non-operating revenue. Now, I'm going to pull in the expenses to this model. So we've got the operating expenses I discussed, we have that one-time transfer out, and we've got the capital improvements. So the way we determine the financial sustainability of the fund itself is that we look at those years where we have a gap between those area graphs in the back and those bars in the front. Anytime there is that gap, there's a deficit. On the inverse, if we have a year where those bars are smaller than the expenses in the back, then that is a surplus. And the last element of this model here is the cash position. So this black line here just linearly graphs each of those gaps or those deficits that we have for this model, and it just puts it into the line. And the last ending point that we have for this line before it starts forecasting is just the opening cash for 2026. So this just tracks that cash position over time. Now, the reason why it is decreasing into a negative here is, like I mentioned, we're not doing any rate increases whatsoever. We have capital assumptions for the future. We have operating expenses increasing at 3%. So this is the do-nothing scenario. This is how much time you have before that cash runs out if we don't do any rate increases whatsoever. So we'd like to start with this model to show you what that looks like, but we're really here to show you visually the proposed scenarios or solutions for consideration. We're not recommending any rate adjustments as of now, but these are the solutions that we've discussed with Dave and Nancy, given the needs for the water and wastewater funds. So I'm going to hop into the first scenario here.
Can I make one comment real quick? Just on that, just so everybody's real clear, that spike is where we did the transfer because of so that's what that big spike is. If anybody wasn't sure about that, I just wanted everybody to be clear on that.
One thing I'm not sure about is, I'm sorry, Gabriel, my apologies, Gabriel.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you, where do we show the payback of that $1 million? Is that anywhere in this graph here?
What?
I couldn't hear you clearly. Are you asking to see the data behind this?
What I'm saying is that spike, that $1 million, that was money going to the general fund, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And we will be paying that from the general fund back into the sewer and water fund, right?
Exactly. Now, we've discussed with Nancy, right now we're looking at a worst case scenario in a situation where the general fund isn't able to pay back that transfer in fiscal year 27. And I do have a scenario here showing that transfer in. I will show you that. We've prepared the model with kind of all the situations there to show you what that looks like. But if we do want to look at a scenario with that transfer in that same status quo situation, this is what it would look like. Now, having those discussions with Nancy and Dave, it really depends on how much the general fund is able to pay. Per the latest information, it doesn't seem like we'll be able to get that transfer in for fiscal year 27. Now, if that changes, we do have the scenario here ready to go. And one of the proposed solutions is looking at that if we do get those transfers in.
Okay, you have a question, that's enough for me. I wanted to see that was accounted for. I see you have other slides that account for that. I can study that
I
later.
got a bunch of different scenarios.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hey Gabriel, this is Adam. I have a quick question, just before we dive more into the hypotheticals. I was gonna ask a question about one of the underlying assumptions, and that is,
It's
in
not
twenty
being
twenty-six
recorded.
going forward, there are, the operating expenditures increase, over what was spent in 2023, 2024, and 2025. What is that jump, and what is assumed in that jump?
Yeah, we can take a look at that. So when we first calibrated this model, we went over these expenses with Dave, and we went over line by line and asked, okay, how much can we expect these jumps to increase by? Are there any figures that we need to change specifically? And all of these for now, we're looking at a 3% inflation amount. Now, again, we've had a little bit of dialogue with Dave and Nancy as to know how much these are all increasing by. But for now, we know that these expenses are increasing over time, and we're working with a blanket 3% average increase.
Sure. But I guess, but to clarify, just really quick, if you go back down to the bottom of this chart right here, this spreadsheet, what I'm asking about is, so 2023 we spent 267,000, not million, 222,000, 216,000, and then it jumps $150,000 or $100,000 in 2026 and going forward. I was just wondering if we were budgeting something in that we hadn't before, and that's what's causing that OpEx jump?
No, that's a good question. So that has to do with the salaries and wages increase from 25 to 26 on the water side.
Is that somebody going full-time at the sewer plant?
I'm trying to think.
Well, we moved one person from regular public works maintenance helper to wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, that's, okay, so that's that.
So his wages went up and they will increase again next year.
Yeah.
At some point, we lose our wastewater contract, right?
This is water here.
That's a conversation for another time. We're not gonna lose him completely until we have a second. We have to have two people that are certified.
Okay.
So he's our second person, but he's not our contracted person, but he's not full-time.
Okay, so that contract now will continue into the future for some time.
Until we get a second person certified in wastewater treatment.
And I think on that, why that big increase there, I think we weren't accounting for this, where the salaries were correctly when we looked at it.
That's
I think that's
correct.
why we had that
By a
big,
long shot.
because we were really spinning it there, but when we were doing budgets before, it was not accounted for in the right accounts. So we've been trying to make sure every one of these is accurately reflecting exactly what's being spent in those areas. So that's where you'll probably see in our budget, you will see a decrease in some other areas in our budget. But that is truly what we're spending on water now.
Okay.
We weren't accounting for it correctly before.
So, okay, my questions are all answered. That's good. All right.
And
Thank
there's
you.
probably some other little increases in there that are just, but that was the big
Yeah, let me know if there's any other questions. But yeah, we can dive into the scenarios for consideration on the water side. The first one that I wanted to go over is, this is again kind of the worst case scenario if the general fund isn't able to pay back what was expected for fiscal year 27. And for this scenario that we're looking at here, we would need in fiscal year 27, a $6.33 increase on the water side. And then anything after that, it's just the Department of Ecology mandated 4%, which is around 75 cents in 28, and in 2029, 79 cents, and then at around 80 cents 2030 onwards until that starts compounding. But we can see here that with that $6.33 increase, those revenues, that bar that I mentioned, they're above those expenses, and that's why we can see that cash position slowly starting to recover and increase.
Can I make a
Do we have-
comment on that one too, real quick, just for the public's and the council's clarification? The last time we did a water rate increase was in 2006. And in 2014, we cut our water rates by, I think, $9 a month, and it went to the sewer fund, and in 2015, we cut it by $14. So we're really paying less now than we were in 2006, right now.
Can I ask a question based on kind of what Gabriel just said? Did you say, Gabriel, that there's a 4% mandated increase by Department of Ecology?
Yeah, per Nancy and Dave, there is a, I think at least for fiscal year 27, Department of Ecology was either recommending or mandating, and Nancy and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, a 4% increase.
That's correct, to the best of my knowledge.
All right.
We got a notice from them saying, I forget what it was, well, when we get our water, we had to be recertified, there's a recertification part. And when that report came back, they said, you need to be doing it for, and it may be based on looking at our budget, because we sent a budget information, and it's showing exactly what he showed, that we're having declining revenue. So I'm guessing they're saying, you need to do 4% at least to keep yourself above. So I think that's where that came from. This is not I don't think a statewide mandate. I think they just looked at our budget and said, you're going to fail if you don't do some kind of increase.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay,
Great. Well, that was kind of the worst case scenario I mentioned, with no transfers back in from the general fund for the next couple of years. For this scenario here, we've factored in those transfers in, and this would be at around 174,000, 2027 onwards per year until that's fully paid back. And this one would require us to have that's a 5% revenue increase, so that would be around 63 cents on the base charge itself. Then 2028 onwards, it'd be around 53 cents, then 56 cents. But again, these are scenarios to kind of iron down as we get more information on if the general fund is able to meet those repayments. Do we have any questions on this model so far?
Now, the repayments, that $1.3 million, are we counting that as, just a reserve fund, or are we expecting to use it for these expenses going forward?
I can answer that from my perspective. That money, when it goes back, will go back into we're at such a low level, we need to build to me, it goes back to build our reserve funds for our capital projects and all those. Because what we're doing here is getting us, it's not building it up. So all that money that came out of there, I see as just building a strong base to our funds that we have now. Because this really doesn't get us where we need to long term of having reserve funds there to, if anything goes really bad with our water system, like, needing a new well or major pipe replacements, we need to have a good amount of money sitting in those funds to deal with emergencies.
And I agree with that position, but this slide seems to show that we're counting that as part of our revenue. It should be.
And that's why it's going up steeper, I believe, because we're putting that money back into those funds as reserves. But the other one is kind of more of a flat, slow increase. This one's steeper because it's going to be, we'd be putting money back into those funds that have reserves.
Jeff, are you asking if all the funds that are being transferred back from the general fund are going into like a cash holding account and not being spent on expenses?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
If our goal here is to have our revenue equal expenses, then this payback goes to the fund, and we shouldn't need to use it or count on it.
For day-to-day operations.
Correct, because in 5 years or 10 years, or however long it takes to pay back, it's gone, and then we have to go back to a revenue shortfall and no reserve.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
Well, it goes back directly to the fund that was our original borrowed fund. If we borrowed from the water fund and not the water capital improvement fund, it goes back to the water fund. If we borrowed from the capital improvement fund, then it goes back to the capital improvement.
Unclear.
Yeah, we had balances of like $1 million or some of those, and now they're down to 200,000 on some.
Yeah.
So we need to get, this is a base level.
Yeah.
With that money, get those back to $1 million.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, all good. It's good to have these conversations to clarify that. Well, those are the two proposed scenarios that we have prepared for water. I want to hop into the wastewater model. So for the fund, the wastewater fund here, I want to start as well with the status quo, similarly as we did with water. Now with wastewater, we have a little bit of a different story, and that's mainly because of this large green spike here. So this spike corresponds to the screens project. It's replace screens on the wastewater system, and that is at a cost of $1.5 million. Now, I think last time we presented or we discussed the wastewater model at this council meeting, we had it in fiscal year 27. Now, we've moved that for the sake of this model to start in fiscal year 28, and that's mainly because due to a couple things. The first one is if we did want to do it in fiscal year 27, it would be a pretty substantial rate increase for the wastewater fund itself. And second of all, we are exploring, Nancy primarily is exploring loan options, grant options for externally funding that screens project. And that'll paint a different picture as well. That's one of the scenarios we have loaded here. But starting off with the status quo, we can see that due to the size of that capital project itself and the placeholder that we have similar to water, we can see that in 2029, that cash position dips to a negative if we're fully cash funding that project with no future rate increases whatsoever. So in terms of the models prepared for the wastewater fund, the first one I wanted to go over is this one right here. And this one is showing a $32 increase in fiscal year 27. If we had done that capital project, which is of high priority, it does need to be replaced imminently. If we had done that this year, that would have been around a $64 rate increase. So moving it over to beginning of fiscal year 28, exploring grant funding in the meantime, or external funding, we're able to do a $32 rate increase in fiscal year 27. Then anything after that, it's $6, so 4%, 28 and 29 onwards. Now, we can see that this cash position is skyrocketing, and the only reason for that is because we don't have any similar capital expenses loaded up in the future. We're just working off of a $50,000 capital placeholder, and anything after that, we have no large similar spikes. So while this cash position is saying, oh wow, this is going to be increasing exponentially or linearly after 2029, we can expect larger replacements or any type of replacement for capital projects as we have had between 2023 and 2025, and that will change the cash position as we receive more information on capital projects that need to be replaced, or any lines, so on and so forth. So this is the first scenario, and like I mentioned, this is if we don't get any transfers as well back from the general fund. We have transfer out as well from wastewater itself, and that is around $773,000 from 2024 to 2025. So we have this as kind of the worst case scenario. There's no external funding, no grants for that screens project that needs to be replaced. Do we have any questions on this model so far before I hop into the next scenario? Sounds good. The next scenario that we have is if we do get those transfers, as I mentioned. If we do get those transfers in, that would be a 10% increase, which is around $12.90 on the base charge. Anything after that would be around $5, escalating to $5.90, then $6 in 2030. But again, this depends on the general fund as well.
And again,
After that,
excuse me for interrupting, again, that assumes that we're going to use this transfer for operating expenses instead of building up our reserve. Yes?
I thought
Yes.
it had to be used. I thought they had to pay it back to wherever it was borrowed from.
Right.
Yes.
But when it's sitting in that fund, are we saying, if our revenues aren't enough, we're going to use it to pay down day to day, or is that our rainy day fund or something big?
Well, we'll use it for operating expenses unless we have more than operating expenses in the
take it down over time to the point where you don't have a reserve fund.
Are the screens capital improvement, or are they just regular expenses?
What
How are
are
we
we
gonna
looking at
classify
here?
that?
I'm sorry.
This is all the funds put together, right?
All the sewer funds put
This is
together.
all the sewer funds, so it's the capital.
So there's
improvement,
three.
Yeah, this is the sewer fund, general sewer fund.
Yeah.
They're all lumped into one.
Okay.
There's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it to see.
It'd probably be,
I would say,
I have my own
it's
thoughts.
similar to water to me. You took a bunch of money out, so we have unhealthy, just general balances that we should be carrying for just emergency. I mean, and again, the beauty of this program is we get out to 2029, we're saying, oh, shoot, we're eating into this fund. We go back and put in the number and we recalculate what we need to do versus what we did before, is to do a study at one point in time and then there's no looking at how things are going, so.
Now, that's
But-
the whole idea of having
Yes,
this,
so
is that
that's the
you go
beauty
in
of
and
this
take a look.
program is a couple of years down the road, when we start getting, able to put money back into it, we see if there's any big expenses that come up, we go back in here and just put in the numbers and we calculate and then talk about how we're gonna deal with that.
Yeah, number two thing I hear about is when is Port Eric going to be held to account for the financial situation? But the number one thing people talk about is complaining about the water and sewer bill.
I know.
Well,
So are we going to just keep running that bill up forever, or at some point the city say, yours, councils, or, we have, free fund, let's cap our increases or cut the bills because we have enough money here looking ahead 20 years? Or
one thing I think we should be thinking about is, I've done some research into water and sewer utilities, other organizations our size. We are well behind other cities in our increases in water and sewer rates. Most of them increase every 2 to 3 years. We haven't increased in 10 years. So, unfortunately, costs increase continually. They don't stop, so,
And
that's something to think about.
And that's true, but I think one other point I want to make for the council, and we talked to them about it, when we went back and looked at the old rate study, they made assumptions of, I think, over $2 million because they planned for a big development on Lemon Hill that was going to bring a bunch of money. And we also planned on waste septic receiving, which is over $1 million a year. So that whole thing that we didn't need any increases for 10 years was based on, and I'm not blaming anybody, because we try to project what's going to be, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
That's why this is so good.
That's why this is so
Yeah.
difficult right now, is because all that money that they were expecting in revenue back when they did that last rate study is not true. And again, that's the beauty of this. When that didn't happen, we could have instantly gone in there the next day and said, hey, this isn't gonna happen, and we looked at it that year. So this is a difficult one. It is more difficult, because I know our rates are high. Other places rates are high that are having newer, smaller towns that have wastewater systems, but we have to pay for them. We don't have control, like our electricity's going up
Yeah.
20%, 30%.
Food has,
Yeah.
Everything's gone up.
Yeah,
Everything.
so it's unfortunate, nobody likes to do this stuff, but we have real information. I can tell you, we scrubbed this thing multiple times, trying to think about, exactly what true income and revenues needs are. So you gotta face reality at some point, and, nobody likes doing this stuff.
Well, and are we saying that the screens are the only delayed maintenance that's happened out there?
No, I think there's probably other delays.
That's my assumption as well, is once we get out there and we replace these screens, that's not gonna be the only green spike that you see coming in the next 10 years, right? And so whether we like it or not, the rates that we are charging for sewer have not given us enough of a cash balance to continue maintenance, especially these big things that come up. Because if we think the screens are the biggest thing to go out there, they may be, but if we think they're the last thing that's gonna go out there, I think we're sadly mistaken.
There's a lot of stuff
So-
out there that don't do it, that has a life.
Not that I want,
Yeah.
like I've mentioned, not that, not that I want this to happen, because not like I want more expenses like on my own, you
None of
know,
us
sewer
do.
bill. I don't wanna have to pay that. But if I'm an operator, right, if I'm in charge of operating this thing and making sure it's got cash, I don't know that,
Charge enough money.
we have to make it
Yeah.
Yeah.
work pencil.
That's why there's separate funds for the general fund. But, yeah. So that's, I just wanted to make sure everybody understood kind of a little bit of the background and why this fund is kind of messed up. Sorry, I took over again on you there.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
Sounds good. Well, the last solution that we have here is taking a look at the possibility of grant funding, and we discussed this with Nancy, like I mentioned at the beginning here. So what we have is the possibility of applying for an emergency grant for this screens project or taking out a loan. This would be at around that 4% Department of Ecology standard as well, which would be around 5% increase for fiscal year 27. Now, like I mentioned again, we're waiting on this information. As we receive updates of, hey, we did get the grant funding or we're able to take out a loan, then the rate scenario will be closer to this $5 increase. But again, we're hoping to, once we get that information, come back to this council meeting in the near future and present those findings.
Just so you know, we have put in another request for a loan, or I think it's a grant, I think, for those screens.
Well, it says grant, the one Jessica just said, it says grant, but she said it's more of a loan. So I'm a little fuzzy on that one. She took care of that. Other Jessica gone, I haven't really had time to do
So
that.
we're still.
Aren't there two different
Yeah.
scenarios?
It's
Is
gotta
there
be
one
one
a
or the
grant
other.
and then
It's
one,
gonna fail
the
sooner
grant
than
that's a
later.
loan? That there were two different ways we were gonna go.
Well, there's many opportunities we're
okay.
looking at.
Okay.
And this, we have it modeled as not necessarily a grant, but a loan. So it's a more kind of conservative approach with a 4.5% interest rate at an amortization period of 20 years. So if it's a grant, it would be a lower kind of impact on the revenue requirements themselves. We factored in this 4.5% to do a quote-unquote worst-case scenario within the external funding. And again, just the 4% or that $5 rate increase would cover not only the revenue requirements we had, but also the future principal and interest payments. Great. Well, those are the scenarios that we have for those two funds. Like I mentioned, it's good to have these discussions. We like to hear from the council these questions because there's all stuff that we need to factor in while we're making these models in order for us to have the best information ahead of decision making, ahead of closing the books for budget. So, you know, once we get more information from Dave and Nancy, we will hopefully come back with new information on possibility of external funding, transfers from the general fund, so on and so forth. But this is what we have for today. So I'd like to thank you all for listening and asking those questions, and hopefully we'll reconvene in the near future.
Is this available?
Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can get these slideshows, I think you sent them to us, didn't you, with all those? I think I got them.
I would like to have.
Yeah. If you haven't, I think you sent those to us, but if you haven't, maybe you can send them to me and I'll pass them on to the council so they can look at them a bit more.
These, the presentation itself.
Yeah, the charts,
Yeah, I've sent you that, I
I'm
think,
pretty sure I
a
got it.
couple weeks ago. I can resend that for sure.
I'll reach out to you if I don't see it, but I'm pretty sure I have it.
Sounds good. I'll see if I can just resend that right now, just so I don't forget before I head out here. Yeah, sounds good.
And does anyone have any other questions before we hop off and vanish?
No.
No? Okay, great.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes,
Sorry
thank
to
you.
give you this-
Appreciate y'all's time. We'll be in touch. Yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
If I could just make a quick comment, to the council, just keep in mind this is a living document, and so it's continually updated. Anytime we get new information, we give to them, so I just want you to keep that in mind. And Adam, that would be a capital improvement.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
The other thing I want to mention is when we have a break in between the work session and the regular session, we can't stop recording, so anything you are saying or discussing with citizens or each other is still being recorded. Just a reminder, no one's done anything wrong. I just want you guys to be aware that you're still being recorded.
Okay,
So we just got like 9 minutes, so,
why don't we finish the reports?
oh, we can do a couple reports, yeah, I
My
forgot
report
about.
will be quick.
Chamber of Commerce.
No
I
meetings.
got a report from George Sharp here. There will be no chamber lunch forum in August. The next meeting will be a business networking breakfast on Friday, September 4th, and lunch forum on Wednesday, September 16th. Both will be held at the Sandstone and Quarry Bar. And I'll just do all of it if that's okay. Study, there will be an August study meeting. Next meeting will be, there will be no August study meeting. The next meeting will be September 18th. Location to be announced. Next event is the South Sound Real Estate Forum on Thursday, September 24th, 11 o'clock till 2 at the South Puget Sound Community College Lacey campus. So that's those three. Arts Commission, I think there's Experience Olympia and Beyond. I don't think there's anything there. Library, we'll come back to that one if she shows up. South Thurston Fire, I will just report that there's kind of I need to tell you, they've been doing hydrant flushing, which we're supposed to do every year, but we haven't done for several years.
They were on our street today.
Yeah, we posted on websites, we posted on Facebook, and we have hangers that they're putting up. And we initially said we'll put them on like the houses on, couple houses on each side of the hydrant, because what happens when you flush those, it stirs up some sediment that's been in there, and since it's been several years, so it basically said if you turn on your cold water and let it run if you have dirty water. I know, I don't know why this happened, we're figuring it out. Anyway, today we had no problems so far. They've been doing it for a few days and had no complaints, but for some reason down on Lincoln Avenue, it caused a mess because people have been running their water for 2 hours and it's still dirty. Now, what I think happened is that at the end of Lincoln, it's, that, I don't know if you're familiar, but on Lincoln, there's houses on the one side.
And then
At the very end of that street,
That's
Lincoln
where
Street,
I'm across.
it's called, a dead-end line. Usually, water lines are kind of looped together, so there's a flow, but that is a dead-end line. So I'm guessing a lot of sediment went down in that dead end and had no place to go.
Oh, dear.
So we told people to keep their water flowing and we will adjust water, but I don't know what happened with the hangers. If they didn't think it was going to affect so many people down there because they were trying to just put them on. So anyway, we got a lot of calls today about dirty water, and I don't know if it's cleared up because a lot of people are running their bathtub water, just trying to get everything flushed out, but.
I don't think ours we didn't have any dirty water, that they just about flooded our houses. We were trying to load our trailer across, it all came across the cul-de-sac into our yard.
My goodness.
Yeah,
They were that'll
happen.
Without a hanger.
yeah. So anyway, we had a lot of calls today. Troy went down there and talked to them, and I think told them to keep, so we're gonna see what happens tomorrow morning, I think, and if Troy's aware of it, if there's still dirty water tomorrow, we're gonna have to go down there and see if we can figure out what is.
What can they do?
Yeah,
Well, they haven't evidently flushed it on my street, because
well, see, I don't know on your street if maybe it is a loop there, and maybe all of it's going down to that dead end because the water is, so I don't know what's going on exactly.
Because my water's been fine.
Yeah, it's just the end of that
Yeah, it's
road.
just
That's
that-
the only place it
It's
is.
those new houses across from
Yeah.
our cul-de-sac is what
Yeah.
I think where you're talking.
Yeah.
right there.
So it's kind of a, I can tell you this is not, this happened when I was a firefighter, we do this, you get houses that this happens to,
Yeah.
especially on those dead end lines, because there's no place for that.
Sediment to
All
go.
the sediment goes. So I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that they run it long enough, they'll get that whole line, but it caused a lot of ruckus today, and I apologize to our public. We hadn't had any problems before today, so it was kind of a surprise, and oops, yeah. So we'll do better next time, and hopefully if we keep doing this every year, we won't have as much dirt in the first place, but anyway, just so you're aware of that. It sounds like they're still working on their building. I think they got some initial designs they're working on, nothing official yet, but they're moving forward with their new station, it sounds like finally now, so that's a good progress. And call volume he talked about today, I think it's been kind of in the normal 260, I think they said they had this last month, which is kind of the average. I know we've had a few wildland fires that they responded to that I've heard or seen on Facebook or someplace. So that whole thing that's going on across the state, we're still, there's still some fire season left, so we still need to be cautious
It's
about
so
that.
dry. My gosh, it's
Yeah.
really dry. Okay.
We already did the sheriff's office, civil service commission, what's going on with that? When we first disbanded the police department, our attorney said to keep it for just a little while in case anything came up. I got to get back with them and say, hey, it's been a month now, all our employees have been hired other places. Can we disband that? Because we pay, it's another one of those things, we pay like $8,000 a year for insurance for civil service commission. So it's not, we don't use it for anything else, so I'm hoping we can just get that taken care of. Finance committee, we didn't have a meeting. Adam couldn't be there. There wasn't really too much to report. We had already talked about this rate increase with him, so you didn't have anything you wanted to report, did you? No. Yeah. Planning commission, they are working on, I saw for their agenda. What was that, Maria? What was it? Do you remember what that planning commission, what they are working on? Oh, hazardous or?
Planning Commission is working on critical areas ordinance.
Critical areas ordinance that they have to pass, and then updating, I think still working on the whole short-term rental process. So that's the two things.
Yeah, we had questions
Yeah.
at the last meeting for her because they want to charge $10,000 for the,
What was that? I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't see.
yeah,
get to catch it.
$10,000.
I don't have.
I have,
To
I have a lot of
change a
input
little
from this.
wording in the code, you know.
Yeah. Public safety committee, you have anything?
No, right now.
Public works?
No, no,
You want to do
no
a quick
report this time.
I think,
As all of you know, our utility clerk left, so the bank reconciliations are not done in time for this meeting. Maria and I have been covering the utility clerk position, and there's not time for a whole lot else to be done. But real quick, do I have like 1 minute?
yeah, go ahead, you're still
I
good.
wanted to give a thank you to Councilmember Godovac and Councilmember Elaine Clem for helping us out, coming into the office and answering phones and folding bills and stuffing them. That was very, if we had to do that, I don't know where we'd be. So we very much appreciate you two coming in and helping out. So I really don't have anything in the way of the treasurer's report. I will plan on having that done for the next council meeting. But everything's looking good with the reconciliation so far. I don't see anything out of the ordinary
Good.
for that, so.
Okay, it's 7:30,
7:30.
perfect. Okay, it is 7:30, so we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Tenino City Council for August 11th, 2026. So please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have agenda approval for the first item.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes, that's the other one we didn't get done right. Sorry, it's crazy how all going on. So we'll have the meeting minutes at the next meeting, hopefully.
Okay.
And we got them recording this time so we can more easily take care of those.
Well, then we have nothing to approve.
We have nothing to approve for approval of minutes. Consent calendar for July 22nd through August 11th, 2026, consisting of payroll EFTs in the amount of $38,533.62, and claims checks number 34282 through 34317, and EFTs in the amount of $105,826.80, for a grand total of $144,360.42, and no liquor or cannabis approved.
Move approval. Second.
There's a correction there, that should be July 28th through August 11th.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my bad.
July 28th through August 11th. Okay, it's been, with that change, it was a motion to approve.
I move to approve. I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Executive session, nothing. Presentations, did that. Public comments, we have no, Maria, unless you want to be a public person? Okay, next thing on our agenda is a public hearing. We missed approving our street plan, our street 6-year transportation improvement plan, so we need to do that. So we have a public hearing, and then we'll be voting on this, a couple items down. So do you have your computer thing? So I can-
Do you need the resolution? Is that what you want?
No, I need the speech about the public hearing. I need the script to say what to say. Okay, public hearing procedure. The public hearing is for public input and discussion of the 2027 to 2032 STIP, Street Transportation Improvement Plan. This public hearing will proceed in an orderly fashion, and I would like to ask your cooperation in the following procedure. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to be heard. The clerk will record what is said. Therefore, when you address the council, please begin by stating your name and address. Before I hear from the audience, I'm going to introduce Nancy Reddick to present information about this project. I know this is silly, we don't have any public here, but
We're on the resolution.
resolution, yeah, sorry.
Resolution 2026-11, a resolution of the City of Tenino, Washington, adopting the 2027 through 2032 6-year street plan pursuant to the revised Code of Washington 35.77.010. Whereas the city duly adopted a new transportation plan on August 12, 2025, and whereas the city's Director of Public Works submitted his recommendation for updating said transportation plan with the 6-year street plan during a regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council of the City of Tenino, Washington on August 11, 2026, and whereas the City Council conducted public hearings on this matter during a regularly scheduled meeting of the Tenino City Council on the 11th day of August, 2026. So usually I just read the first part unless
Yeah,
anybody
last
needs me to
line.
read the whole thing. And the street plan is attached, so back to you, Dave.
So, well, I know we don't have any audience here, but I'm just going to go through it like we should. At this time, the floor is open for comments from the audience. In fairness to all in attendance, each person will be given an opportunity to address the council for an initial period not to exceed 3 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be made available after everyone has had a chance to speak. I am requesting the council members to hold their questions of the public until everyone is done. So there's no public present, so I would open it up to the council for any questions about the street plan, or add any information they would like to add.
It all looked good to me.
The projects that we have listed here, Mr. Mayor, are these all done deals? We have the funding, we've got the budgeting for it, this is just what we'd like to do over the next 6 years?
This is just the street plan basically just says these are what are our priority. None of them are funded at this point. So like a lot of projects in the park, we have to have a lot of pre-work done to get grants. So this is basically just saying these are what we think our priorities are.
These are our
And
wish list.
when grants come up, we can, don't even have to do them in the order presented there. We can go down to number 4 if we find money for number 4. So all this is try to do an overview of what we think is the priorities for projects.
Very good, thank you for the clarification.
Do you have any other questions of the staff? Hearing none, the public testimony for this hearing is now closed. Thank you all.
Are we moving to approve it tonight?
Yes, this will be
Yeah, but
under
we need to go to-
resolutions number
Okay.
7.
We need, kind of skipped here. We've got- are you
We can
talking
just
about-
vote on it now if you want to. I mean, we can go out of order.
I move to approve the Transportation Improvement Program, 6-year plan.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2026-11, 6-year Transportation Improvement Program for 2027 to 2032. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for getting that done. TRPC will be happy, and state. No proclamations, no old business, new business. Discuss updating the council meeting time to 7 PM. Work session would still begin at 6:30 per Tenino Municipal Code 2.04.020. We had talked about this a bit earlier, but we hadn't brought it back to the council. So it's up to you. It's not, if we want to keep it the same, that's fine, but,
I'd love to move it.
I like the idea of moving it up to 7.
Does anybody not like the idea?
I mean, we rarely go to go to
Right.
7:30 or 6:30, excuse me. for
We
the-
always have a huge gap between the work session and when the council meeting starts.
Zip it up.
But not today, but this could have been
No,
during
but-
presentations in the
right,
regular council.
right.
Yeah.
Which would not have been a bad thing for
yeah.
the.
And sometimes,
city.
like this presentation that we did today, that took a lot of time, could be during our regular meeting, you know, if we have. if we only do-
Exactly.
We can take care of some,
Yeah.
the updates and some of those things during the work session and move stuff like this presentation under presentations during the
Yeah.
regular meeting.
Yeah,
So-
in fact, a presentation like that I'm sure is of interest to the city, it might even be better to have that
Have it,
in
yeah.
the main meeting.
It is recorded, so people can see it, but I agree, we have a
Right.
presentation spot under our regular meeting. It's probably be better to do presentations like that, especially there.
So that requires an update to our muni code, so I believe that's an ordinance. So you
We'll
want
have
me
to
to
present
bring
an
forth
ordinance
an
to you.
ordinance in the next couple
Okay.
meetings then to update the
So
time? Is that what I'm
everybody's
hearing?
good with that, we'll bring an
Yes.
ordinance back at the
Yeah.
Please.
ASAP to do that.
We will work on that in all our extra time.
All your
Yeah.
extra
All
time.
In your
that-
spare time, you're not gonna have any excuses if you're getting a new utility clerk now.
Well, if she's trained right out of the gate, then we're good,
Y'all realize we're the blind leading the blind here, if I can
right? Yeah. We're
That is-
also
that
updating
is
our
really
written
scary,
procedure
you guys.
manual as we go.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Okay,
Everybody got a water bill, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
We have 6
Yeah,
Oh, I
love-
still got it.
loved my
I still
water
got
bill,
it.
and I thought, this is not right, this is not right. I said the same thing. Creepy.
Yes, everybody
I've been
got billed the
wondering every
minimum
day.
because
Mine looks
Nancy
very
missed a
similar.
step in the billing procedure. So we're all happy this month, but you won't be happy next month.
yeah. So ordinances, this is ordinance 946 that we prepared. This is a gambling tax amendment to update the city gambling tax ordinance to comply with Washington State Gambling Commission. So I think you all saw this, and
Yes.
Nancy can speak more to the
You
details
got
of
my
it.
email.
I did, and I'd like to speak. A sponsor of this, in depth, if you might, but, and what we're looking at here with this ordinance is simply bringing the existing code with no changes other than the tax amount, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Okay.
On the advice of our attorney, that's all we should do first. And then if anyone wants to bring any changes further changes, they need to bring that up at a later date after we're in compliance with the Gambling Commission.
And I take issue, or at least have a question, the difference between bringing the code in compliance with the old amount or bringing the code in compliance with the new amount. I don't see the difference why one is preferable over the other.
I consulted with the attorney, and our first step is to be in compliance with the Gambling Commission, which we had not been, our code was not in the past. So we are now, this ordinance brings us in line with the State Gambling Commission maximum rates for gambling taxes.
Correct. And the changes I was proposing would bring us in line with the state maximum amount for the gambling rate. You know, right now, this has to do with taxing based on the 10% of gross minus payouts. And what I'm
Right.
proposing is 5% of gross.
But I
Period.
believe, isn't that a discussion that the council needs to have and work through, aside from being in compliance with the Gambling Commission?
Yes, I agree.
It
Rather
is.
than trying to do it all
Exactly.
at once. The attorney thought that would be too confusing, and he advised me that the first step was to bring us in compliance with the Gambling Commission rates.
And I'll add another piece to that we need to do.
But this-
We have people overpaid, so we need to go back
Yes.
and try to
Yes,
get that whole thing
we need to,
fixed.
we'll need to talk about that too. So we're using the same formula that we're currently using, but we're using corrected rates. Does that make sense?
It does.
To everyone?
But I don't agree with that. My point, my goal here is a revamp, a review of the Tenino gambling code, including the tax rate, including adding other prohibitions, doing it in a full package and being able to discuss the entire thing all together rather than taking it piecemeal. And I'm willing to have this wait while we go through that and come up with a final amount.
Okay, that's not my choice to make. That's up to the council, but I'm going to I do want to advise you that the longer we wait to get this in compliance and correct what people have paid the last 3 years, which is the amount of time in our code that we're required to go back and fix, the more credit people are gonna have, and we're gonna have to not get gambling taxes during that time.
Can I make a comment on that? So I like the efficiency that you're going for and trying to, get everything all at once. I think procedure-wise, at least as far as I'm concerned, I like the idea of getting in line with the state first, getting on a solid ground as far as, hey, this is what the state currently permits. Let's get on board with that. From there, I think it's going to be a little bit of a longer policy discussion going forward to talk about maybe what and I haven't heard all the updates that you may want to make to the gambling taxes and different regulations in the city. So I'd like to have a longer policy discussion on that kind of thing. But right now, getting us in line with the state, I think is at least my priority. And so I would be interested in going forward with that, just to make my opinion known.
I'm interested in doing what our attorney told, that's what we pay him. And if he says that we should just pass getting in line with the Washington State Gambling Commission now, and then work on the other things later, yes, I believe that's what we should do.
The argument seems to be, or the point you make rather, that if we delay, it increases the amount we have to pay back.
Yeah.
Well, our code speaks to crediting people's accounts rather than paying them back. But there is one entity that is going to be over 8,000 over what they should have paid. So I'm going to imagine that they are going to request at least a partial refund of that, because it would take years for them to use up that credit, and tracking that might be
an administrative nightmare. So, but again, it's not my decision. If you want to table this and discuss, that's the council's decision, not mine. I'm just telling you what the attorney advised me, and I brought the ordinance, and if we decide not to pass it this time, that's not up to me.
At what point are we determining the cutoff for refunds? At what point, that 3-year period?
I guess I don't understand. 3 years from when we started looking at it, or 3 years from when they're overpaying?
Well, they've been overpaying for more than 3 years. So,
Yes.
so at what point do we say, here's the cutoff date, you can't have more than 3 years back from this date?
Well, I have to consult the attorney on that. We didn't get into that part of it just yet. So,
Because that date should be fixed now, whether we pass this now or whether we wait until we have a full package, that date doesn't change, right? Probably the first time we notified the attorney that we were aware that there was a discrepancy between our code and the state law.
again, I'm going to have to consult the attorney on that. I am not, by far, not a legal expert, and I don't want to make any judgments on that.
But you are a financial expert, and for these funds that are coming in, we know we're going to have to be paying back.
Yes.
Can we hold them? Can we?
I can advise the entity not to pay us anymore.
And we can, as a
At this
council,
time.
waive any late fees because of the special circumstances
Oh,
of getting this.
I'm allowed to waive late fees for that. So, yeah, there wouldn't be late fees because technically they have a huge credit on their account for gambling taxes. So
Okay, well,
there should be no late fees in any way for that entity.
then I don't see a compelling reason to do this first step. And
Okay,
that's it.
I'm not going to argue that with you,
Okay,
sir.
I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to,
I
I'm
am
talking
going,
to council.
That's not my decision.
I am going to move to approve updating our gambling tax to comply with the Washington State Gambling Commission.
So you move to approve the
I'm-
ordinance.
I'm moving this ordinance,
The ordinance,
yes.
okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 946 gambling tax amendment to update the city gambling tax ordinance to comply with Washington State Gambling Commission. Is there any more discussion?
A little more discussion. At what point are you willing, council, to look at this? And
As soon as we get through with this and we're in compliance with the gambling commission, then they won't be paying the old rate, so that'll stop. That's the whole idea of doing this, to stop that so that they're not overpaying more and more and more and more that we'll have to pay back.
And I think I just made the point here that they don't
No,
have to keep paying it.
it.
You know, that we have a period now.
We would have to pay it back.
If they don't pay taxes, right, because these entities have such a huge
But,
amount of
you
payment,
know,
we
we can bring
can,
this up again at the next meeting. It's only 2 weeks away. But pass this tonight and get that taken care of, get that off our administrators.
okay, because my understanding was that this was the time that we would be discussing this package, which I've been talking about and pressing for. All right, I'm done.
Okay. So there's motion on the table. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Okay, that's all we got. Let's go over the last of the reports here. Code enforcement building. Maria, is there anything significant going on there?
No, not at this time.
Park specialist, Jessica is out for the next week. I know she's still been doing a lot of work on our grants, so I still appreciate so much her work on that, but she is gone this week, and I haven't heard. I will just say we did have an Oregon Trail Days under the park, I guess,
it was
kind of
really-
meeting.
yeah, it was good.
And it seemed like there was a few glitches, as always. I think the biggest one was power and water for the vendors along there. Was a big one that we're going to have a meeting about soon. But I heard there was a good crowd. It seemed like the vendors and people seemed like they had a
We're like
good attendance.
15,000 people here.
Yeah, so I think it went very well. And there's a
Parade
couple
went
other
well.
issues.
The
that-
parade was gorgeous.
Yeah,
It was
I
wonderful.
heard the parade was great, yeah.
It was.
So, we're gonna meet with the chamber, I think, and just have some initial discussions about how we can deal with this sewer and, not sewer, the power and water. And what came up is that that property there, where we have all the vendors, is technically county property. You know how that's whole weird, but we haven't got a new agreement with the county that sounds like Jessica's made it, felt like that they would allow us to put that the power and water there, so I was a little
They
worried.
won't do it for us, huh?
Yeah.
Damn it.
So I was a little worried when we talked about that we would, how can we do this on, but it seems like that agreement she has would allow us to make some improvements there, so I'm hoping it goes fairly well. I don't have a lot as mayor. I was gone until a few days ago, but we did have a meeting yesterday. The Port Commission came here and did their remote meeting. So I attended that, gave a presentation on what's going on in Tenino. I think it was very well received. I'm actually going to meet with the chair of the commission and our representative in their port. I don't know if it's their economic development person or the director, but we're going to have just a little meeting, and they have some ideas around, how we get that $10,000 or $15,000 every
Yes,
year.
yeah.
They wanted to just talk about, and I'll get your input on this, instead of doing $10,000 to all the jurisdictions, maybe rotate it so you'd get a bigger pot of money every 3 or 4 years versus the one $10,000 that you
How
can maybe
big is,
do.
how big is the pot of money gonna be?
Well, that's what we'll have to, I think it'd be, what was mentioned was $50,000 instead of getting $10,000 every, because it would rotate between.
Five
Yeah,
five districts.
5 districts, so, anyway, we won't make any decisions there, but that was
So
just some of
it'd
their
be
thoughts.
basically the
and-
same, except you get it in lump sum.
Yeah. It could allow you to do a little bit bigger project,
Yeah.
maybe, because you could use that 50,000 as match, besides just having 10,000. So just things like that, and just other ways they can support us. I think they really want to do more in South Thurston County.
They always have.
And so one of the things that, I don't want to be too long-winded, but that came up, they just voted that night to hire a grant and lobbyist, kind of on-call, that they would just pay per project, if they had a project. And I said, we've always talked about, why can't we have a regional grant? And if we had something we were really looking at grant for that maybe was above us, or maybe needed a lobbyist to help us go after it, why could we somehow have an agreement that we could, and again, it all depends on costs and all those kind of things, but use that same resource to maybe do some of those things that would help us, maybe get some
The
grants.
smaller areas,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be good.
So anyway, it's just things like that. How can we work better together to do some things? They were very impressed with the ag park and the update on the meat processing facility, which they were instrumental in the early days of that to get that going. So did an update there, and they appreciated that also. Any questions for me? Other than that, I'm just trying to make sure we don't have a revolt in City Hall with all the works going on.
It was close.
Yes, it was close. Liaisons, to be that, anything with them? Solid Waste Advisory Board?
The ORCA, or the Organic Recycle Collection Area, which is current Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey. Organic waste is basically food waste, which creates the highest gases. And then in January 2028, all cans will have to be considered in the county. Gray or black for garbage, blue for recycling, brown or green yard waste, organic waste. And then they have a food waste prevention education on October the 4th, 2026. And Thurston Solid Waste is waiting to see if they can reduce, it has to go through the county commissioners, to reduce the time from 1.5 hours to 1 hour for our meeting, because of most people that are on this are working other jobs. So,
And it's during the days.
and it's in the middle of the day. Yeah.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay, TCOM, I haven't heard anything from our rep there. School board, anything going on at the schools? It's kind of still summer, I'm sure they're gearing up for the next year, but
Gearing up. My wife's going back in a week or so to get ready with the
Start
registrations and all the rest of that. It's coming.
Summer's over.
Yep.
I don't have anything from TRPC and TPB since our last meeting. Thurston County Commissioner's Office,
Never
I don't think nothing from them that I've heard. Legislature, there's nothing there. And Oregon Trail Days, I gave a bit of an update, but Diane, do you have anything you wanna?
It's over.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thank you, Maria, again, for all the help with coordinating the sheriffs and the traffic control and yeah, my part, I thought went very well. I can't speak for, it was busy.
It was a great
busy
parade,
over there.
horses
I mean,
and
and I
the
think there were
wagons
more
and stuff
people at the
that
parade than
and
I've seen.
Nancy and
ever.
I had a good time, didn't we?
The sheriff's department did have kudos for the parade traffic. They were a little intimidated about how
Things are
that
on
was
there.
all gonna work out. They came back and said, truly impressed with how functional it really was.
It works,
It
yeah.
does work, so they were really impressed. The sheriff's department did bring out, 3 patrol deputies. There was a lieutenant here, I believe, and then they had brought out CSOs,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
explorers. So
yeah,
they
I
brought
saw
out 7 to 9 people to help us, so kudos to them.
Yeah.
They brought a crew and they were great.
yeah.
They were great, so, but Tyann was very well organized with her parade people as well.
It went very well this year, I will say.
So, yeah, we were talking and it's, you think it just got over, but we're already talking about planning for next year. You know, it goes so
Yeah,
fast. We just
that's
gotta,
that's
so,
exactly how it happened.
and there's gonna be some changes. I don't know if it was my place to talk about them, but there's gonna be some changes next year, I think, from some personnel.
Yeah.
And some stuff,
people
so,
aren't gonna do
so
it
we're gonna
anymore.
have to, they're gonna have to rethink a few things, so we're
That's
gonna.
good, sometimes you need to change
Yeah.
it up a little bit.
So anyway, that's all I can think of about Oregon Trail Days. Public comment too, we don't have any announcements. Anybody have any announcements?
The Corrigan Car Show is this weekend. It is typically in the park, but because the park is being worked on, they're actually moving the car show out to Park Avenue.
Oh,
So from somewhere between Hodgson and Olympia, basically down to the caboose.
oh, nice.
Park Avenue will be closed. They still will be having their pancake breakfast in the courthouse, but the cars will be
Out there.
on display on Park Avenue. That will be closed to all traffic.
And that's
So-
next week? Yeah, it is the 16th,
The
isn't it?
16th, yes, this coming weekend. So, they expect 200, maybe 250 cars
Wow.
That's a big one.
as entries into
Huge
the
this year.
show, so it's gonna be a big deal. They'll have a grandstand, stage, on Park Avenue,
Nice.
vendors in the park, they're gonna have food
Really?
vendors in the park, down on the blacktop in front of the playground equipment, so that will be closed to public access, for maybe the garbage cans go over them.
Maybe.
Oh,
We had a bunch of garbage cans show up in the park, we couldn't figure out where they came from.
They're trying to figure out where the garbage cans came from. Maybe they're theirs.
I bet that's it.
Is that our,
That was our mystery of the day.
well, that's the project, isn't it? The new project that we're gonna do, the Arch Commission?
No, this was a different one.
Oh,
They're
okay.
different, they're just regular old garbage cans that they had chained up to our fence.
We didn't know why.
And we couldn't figure out where they came from.
Where
Uh,
did
I'll
they
check
come
with
from?
Mr. Bryson
I
tomorrow
think
about
from the
that,
car
'cause
show
I
put
bet
them
that's
there for
their
them.
garbage can.
Because they're all locked up, you can't even use them.
Yeah,
I bet they
they're
are.
chained to the fence and they're chained shut, so, like, wow, okay. But I bet you now that's theirs.
It's early, yeah. I will mention that they did go to the neighbors there where there's houses along that route, so if you hear anything from anybody, they did reach out and let them know that this was
Nice.
going on, and one person did call and say, hey, what am I supposed to do? And advised him he could park around the block, off to the block there,
Yeah.
and he seemed to be happy with that, but they did reach out to the residents, so they're aware of what's going on.
Cool.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, and hearing nothing, we are adjourned at
Non-debatable motion.
0800, all right,
We should
1600.
have food truck Friday tonight. Just bring them somewhere, park or something, people know, they go up and have their dinner.